What's up, guys? Today is Thursday, September 11th. Just real quick, I know a lot of us are, some of us probably too young to remember. For me, I wasn't even born yet, but obviously September 11th, 24 years ago. Um, I know a lot of us are thinking of that day and remembering the lives that were lost. But we do have some Thursday night football tonight, a few other MLB games as well that we're going to touch on, get some value. A lot of plays posted earlier today for Dub Club members, as we saw a lot of value come in for not only Thursday night football, but college football and NFL this Sunday. So hopefully we see a little bit more of that come in, and we're going to craft some slips together. I think I mentioned that earlier in the week that a lot of us are going to see moving into this back half of the week. Mike is echoing. Let's see here. All right, let me know if that's any better. I guess I could unadd. I might have to just reconnect it. Let me know if that's better. I did mention earlier in the week, though, that typically during this back half of the week, you'll see more and more value come in as more sports books get lines up for the weekend football. So we're going to be using the Prop Professor, which is the optimizer that I always use to craft these slips over on Prize Picks and Underdog primarily. And then also we have the Positive EV page here that'll show any sort of value on the sports books if you're just into straight plays, which I have it set currently for Hard Rock and DraftKings. Hard Rock is the only sportsbook that I have available for me here in Florida, and then obviously DraftKings is there because that is the odds provider or the odds that Player Profit uses for their plays as well. So we're gonna look at all of this stuff. Obviously, you see all of the green here on that Positive EV page. We're gonna go over to the Fantasy Optimizer first, try to get in some DFS plays. Like I said earlier, we got in a lot of plays earlier, so I'm going to go over props. There's a good chance that a lot of the props that I mentioned have already been submitted into plays. And the reason I say that is because Underdog won't allow me to put put a prop in more than one slip. So there's a good chance that I'm not able to complete a slip, but I'll be able to give you guys the props that have good value so you can craft those yourself. We're going to go over to the Underdog tab. I like to always start off with the 3-pick non-insured. See if there's any value there, and we can start with that. Obviously, none of those are green, so we're going to move on to then the 6-pick insured, which you see a lot, okay? Another thing with me here in Florida, I don't know what the law is and why this is the case, but on Prize Picks, I don't have a tab for college football, so I can't play any college football props on Prize Picks. However, on Underdog, I do. Not really sure why that's the case. I don't know if it's a state legislature thing or whatever, or if it's just like Prize Picks discretion to not have that available. I'm not really sure. But anyways, we're going to take a look at all these. Tons of value here. And like I said, we do already have some that are in slips. So please forgive me if I tell you that we're playing a slip. And then when I try to submit it, it tells me that I can't play it. So I'm going to pull this over here and try to make sure that doesn't happen. Let's start with this. All right, so first one that I see here is one that we do not have yet in a slip. We're over on Underdog Fantasy. For those of you who are watching on TikTok, you guys can't obviously see the screen that I have in front of me. If you would like to see the screen, you can go watch over on YouTube, Twitter, or you can go over to Twitch. I'm live on all three of those platforms where you guys can see the desktop in front of me. If you're on your phone, that's fine as well. I would just definitely write these down or flip back and forth. We are on Underdog Fantasy, though. If you are not already signed up for Underdog Fantasy, you can use my code TRIDENT, TRIDENT, and you will get a deposit bonus when you do so. So the first prop we're going to be looking at here, this is obviously going to be happening this weekend, but it's going to be J.K. Dobbins under 13.5 rushing attempts. Personally, I kind of like this. I wanted to see more from RJ Harvey this first week, but I assume they'll probably start using him more. But anyways, opinions aside, there's good value on that play there. And we're going to take that as our first leg on underdog. Under 13.5 rushing attempts for J.K. Dobbins. If you guys do have any questions regarding the game tonight or any player props that you would like me to look at for value, just feel free to drop them down in the comments, whether you're watching on TikTok or elsewhere. Just drop them in the chat. I'll try to get to it when I can. But we're going to move on from that for now. So J.K. Dobbins under 13.5 rushing attempts as our first leg. Then we're going to also go over to the Bears game versus the Lions. We're going to look at DJ Moore under 21.5 for his longest reception. And then still in that same game, we're going to take DeAndre Swift over 12.5. Looks like they took that one down. So we're still back at the first two. Let's check out, let's see. I want to say we have this one already. No, we don't. Okay, so we're going to take Davante Adams, and we're going to take his under on longest reception at 23.5. We have one for tonight. Jaden Daniels under 16.5 for his longest rush, and it looks like Underdog has also removed that. So forget I said that. We still have our 3 legs. J.K. Dobbins under 13.5 rushing attempts. DJ Moore under 21.5 yards for his longest reception. And then Davante Adams under 23.5 yards for his longest reception. Those are the first 3 legs. We are going to skip over this one because we have it already. That is Davante Adams under 62.5 receiving yards. You are more than welcome to include that in your slip and sub it out for something else that I'll have in just a second. But we do already have that in another slip. If you guys are wondering where I post my other slips at, I do sometimes have free slips out over on Twitter at Trident_DFS. But if you want access to everything, you guys can get in the Dub Club, which you guys can access through the link in my bio, wherever you're watching. There is a free trial if you want to just DM me. I can get you hooked up with that. But definitely just give a follow on whatever platform you're watching, and you'll most likely see some free slips there. We are going to go over, though, to the USF versus Miami game. Chaz Nimrod, over 2.5 receptions, is a positive EV play here for our 6-pick flex. We're going to go to the Rockies game tonight. I'm going to check out McCade Brown. It looks like they've bumped that prop, so we're going to skip over that. Let's go over to the Buccaneers game, and can we take this? Yes, so we're going to take Baker Mayfield over on 20.5 completions. And then we're going to wrap this up with, we're going to go to the Falcons game. We're going to take Bijan Robinson over 14.5. Nope, never mind. They removed that. Can we take Rattler here? I think do we already have that in? We do. Okay, let's check out the Ravens game. Yeah, so we're going to take Zay Flowers over 10.5 receiving yards in the first quarter, and that is going to wrap up our 25X. As you guys saw on the screen there, I already have Davante Adams and Baker Mayfield in another slip, so I'm going to personally substitute those out because I have to. Those 6 props, though, you are more than welcome to lock in. They all have really good value on them right now. I'm going to check out this other one here. Jaylen Warren under 14.5 receiving yards. Also a good prop. Let's check out Sam Darnold's under on 203.5 passing yards. I already have a slip with Sam Darnold in it, so we'll go to the next one. James Cook over 11.5 rushing yards has been removed. Let's go down to Daniel Jones. I see the feed over on TikTok going down, so I'm going to answer a lot of questions after we get this submitted. Daniel Jones under 26.5 rushing yards, and that's going to complete the slip. So that is the 6th leg that we have in right now. If you want to tell that exactly, I do have the link for that obviously posted to the Dub Club, but I am going to go over that one more time for those of you watching on TikTok. I know I mentioned a lot of props there, so I'll let you know what I have as my final slip in just a second. I'm going to get this posted. We're putting half a unit on all of these plays. That's just what I typically do. It's the easiest thing for me, and it's done really good in terms of that return on investment, so I don't feel like I have too much pending at one time. So Once again, that sixth leg that we just took, we're starting off with J.K. Dobbins under 13.5 rushing attempts. Then we're going over to the Bears game to take DJ Moore under 21.5 yards for his longest reception. For the USF and Miami game, we do have Chaz Nimrod over 2.5 receptions. Then in the Ravens game, we have Zay Flowers over 10.5 first quarter receiving yards. We also have Jaylen Warren under 14.5 for his receiving yards line. And then we have Daniel Jones under 26.5 rushing yards. So that'll complete the 25x there over on Underdog. Let's try to answer some questions over in the TikTok chat. Tim is in here. What's up, dude? Who wins tonight? Personally, I don't like to give my opinion because everything that I do is rooted in the numbers. However, if I'm going with the sports books, I'm going to say the Packers win. I also, just as a NFL fan, I do think that the Packers have the better roster, especially with the addition of Micah Parsons. I would think that this would be a higher scoring affair, maybe mid to high 20s. I think that the over would hit here. But I also do think that the sportsbooks have exactly the spread that I would probably on this game as well. I think it'll be a close game. I do think the Packers will be able to pull it out, being the home team, in my opinion, the better roster. And yeah, that'll be my opinion, I guess, on the game tonight. But again, I wouldn't take anything that I'm saying unless you're getting good value on it. And I don't mean value as in just your own thinking, like, oh, I think the value is there, right? I'm talking about actually rooted in numbers, and getting good value, meaning that you are getting the best line available for whatever market you're looking at. Let's see. Should I put 1K on the Commanders? I wouldn't just throw $1,000 on something that you haven't done your research on. If you somehow find an opportunity where the Commanders are priced, way better than they should be, then that might be a position that you can take. Do you start Debo over Nico or JSN? What sort of matchups do we have this week between those guys? Let's see here. So JSN is going to be facing the Steelers. Nico is going to be facing where's the Texans game? Is that Monday night? The Buccaneers. And then who'd you ask? Debo? I would probably start Debo, honestly. I think, personally, if we're just strictly talking about opinions on this game, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I feel like my prediction for the was it the Monday night game between McCarthy and Caleb Williams, the Bears and Vikings? I think that was Monday night. Personally, I think that I had a fairly good projection there. I said that the Vikings would win. I think my score prediction was 26-23 or something like that, and which was, I think it was 27-24. Personally, I think that both of these teams try to run the ball early and are unsuccessful with it, and therefore leading to more of a pass-heavy offense, which, yeah, that should lead for more targets for Debo. I think Tucker Kraft was a guy that I already have a bet on for him to go over his receiving yards line. Again, I took that based off of value, not because of my personal thoughts on it, but I would probably start Debo over those two. Let's see. A lot of people asking fantasy questions. Let me go through these. Let's see. Hold on. We got a lot of people asking questions. Okay, I'll go over some fantasy questions in just a little bit. We're going to try to stick to the DFS apps and get some slips in, okay? A lot of fantasy questions. I'm more than happy to answer those, but we're going to try to knock out these slips just because we have a lot of value that's coming in right now. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page. We're going to look at Underdog. I always prefer to look at Underdog first and then go over to Prize Picks, just because of that slight edge there on the 5 for 6 payout. But that's what I would choose to do, okay? Who am I on tonight? Moneyline. I like the Packers. We'll go over some player props first here. Okay, so here's another one. It looks like Joey Aguilar for the Tennessee Volunteers. Under 225.5 passing and rushing yards. That'll be our first leg here. We also have Tyrone Tracy under the New York Giants. Under 14.5 rushing attempts. Let's see what else we've got here. Trying to play things that I don't already have in another slip. We can go back over to that USF versus Miami game this weekend. Take Byron Brown under 202.5 passing yards. Here's another one for this Clemson game. Bryant Wesco under 63.5 receiving yards. I may have played that one already. I guess we'll find out here in just a second. We're going to go over to the Arkansas game versus Ole Miss. CJ Brown over 32.5 receiving yards. I think I've played that one as well, but again, we will find out. And then over to the South Carolina versus Vanderbilt game. Oscar Adaway under 11.5 receiving yards. That is 6 picks. I'm going to try to lock this in and see if it tells me. Okay, so yeah, CJ Brown I'm going to have to replace. We're going to go to the next best thing, which is going to be Mark Hamper of the California, I think Golden Bears or just Bears. I can't remember exactly. 32.5 receiving yards. We are going to be taking the over. So I'm going to go over that one more time. Let me get it posted over in the Dub Club. If you're brand new to the stream, the Dub Club is where I post all of my plays. It's where you can get access to all of our bots, our 24/7 positive EV bots that post value for tons of different sportsbooks and DFS apps, including DraftKings, FanDuel, Fliff, Hard Rock, and then Prize Picks and Underdog. All of those props get posted there on a 24/7 basis. So whenever I'm not available, you guys can still have that there to then craft slips of your own. Okay, so that's going to be posted. And we're going to go over this one more time here. Pretty much all college football except for Tyrone Tracy. But we'll start off with that. So Tyrone Tracy under 14.5 rushing attempts. Then we got Joey Aguilar under 225.5 passing and rush yards. We have Byron Brown under 202.5 pass yards. Bryant Wesco under 63.5 receiving yards. Oscar Adaway under 11.5 receiving yards, and then Mark Hamper over 32.5 receiving yards there. Once again, that's over on Underdog Fantasy. If you guys have not already signed up for Underdog, you can use my code TRIDENT, TRIDENT, to get a deposit bonus when you sign up. Cool. So we've already rolled through two slips there. It looks like we should be able to get a third one in. I'm going to refresh this. I'm going to obviously use DGF as well. I always prefer using a couple different optimizers to make sure I have the best lineup, but also the most volume. One of the biggest things with DFS apps specifically, and just positive EV in general, is making sure that you have, let's see, going for the record. Hey, I mean, if the value's there, I'm going to be taking it. But what I was going to say is that one of the biggest things with positive EV and these DFS apps is just making sure that you're getting in the volume, right? Because these 6 legs are going to be paying out 25x, and a lot of people think that, like, hey, I'm going to be needing to hit like one of these every 10 slips, right? And while that is super nice to think about, the ideal goal here is just to have a positive ROI. So yes, you could hit 3 of them within 25 slips, or you could have 1 hit in 50. We're going to have cold streaks just like you would if you were just taking straight plays. So the volume is really big, because the more volume you get in, if you're taking profitable plays, that ROI is going to continue to grow. All right. We got a lot of questions about fantasy football. Start Samson or Ridley? Samson actually had so much more of an impact on that game than I thought he would. And it actually ended up screwing me over in one of my fantasy leagues. I was playing against Samson, and he had a great game. However, one thing that I would probably consider, I don't know the exact number for Ridley's targets in that week 1. I feel like watching that game and like the highlights of it, I feel like he had a lot of targets, especially, at the end when they were trying to rally back. I would probably start Ridley over Samson. I don't know if Samson's like week 1 was kind of just like a, I don't want to say like a fake, but I feel like Cam Ward threw very well. I think watching back that game, there were a lot of dropped passes, especially in that fourth quarter, which really hurt them. The Titans could have definitely won that game. I would probably start Ridley over Samson. Yeah, those are probably my thoughts on that, on those two guys. Do I start Terry or Zay, who goes against that Cleveland secondary? Honestly, like, Zay had so many big plays in that week 1. I feel like it's hard not to start him. That's tough. I'd probably start Zay, honestly. I feel like he also got the ball a lot. but also had some really nice chunk plays. Let's see. Are we playing Eckler tonight? I'm not a huge fan of Eckler, to be honest with you guys. Not tonight, at least. Kraft or Johnson? Are we talking about, like, Jawan Johnson? Sutton or Debo? I'd probably go with Debo. The thing is like, Debo is so, like, I think this offseason, I really, like, my opinion on Debo was, like, totally up in the air. I didn't know because everyone was talking about, it looks like he's gained a lot of weight. And, it's like, okay, that's going to probably affect his production. But the fact that he still looked so good in week 1, and, this is a team that could certainly utilize him in the run game, around the goal line. I feel like the opportunities for him to score are way higher. And, yeah, I'd probably start Debo over a lot of guys. Let's see here. Need to figure out my tight end, Kraft or Hawkinson. I don't want to say I'm high on Kraft tonight. I do have a lot of money on his overall receiving yards just because I got it at a really good line. Let's see. Who's Hawkinson playing this week? Am I blind? Where's Hawkinson playing? Oh, it's this Atlanta team. Okay. Ooh. I don't know, dude. That's tough. Who's projected for more, honestly? I'm not really sure. I'd like to see who's projected more. Kupp, Ridley, Shakir, Smith start 2. I'm assuming you're talking about Devontae Smith. It's hard for me not to consider week 1, like the performances from some of these guys in week 1 when I think about like who I'm going to start in week 2. I personally have Kupp on my team. He's on my bench, just strictly off of like the way these offenses work. I'd probably start Ridley and Shakir, to be honest with you. McLaurin or Pearsall? Gosh, Ricky looks so good week 1. Now you got, what, Mac Jones throwing in there? I feel like McLaurin would definitely be the better look. I don't know, like, because I'm trying to think, like, how Mac Jones played for the Jags. Like, I don't know if he's going to be a guy who just, like, is trying to check down the ball a lot. Not having JCM or Monty. I'd probably still choose Montgomery, to be honest with you. I feel like there's going to be way too much passing tonight. I will tell you guys something that I actually got in earlier that I'm surprised it hasn't been refunded. And this happened so quick that I couldn't like tweet anything out or like post it in the Discord. But I had one of my optimizers open earlier. I don't know if it was OddsJam or Outlier. Something pulls up for Hard Rock, and it was like 80% positive EV. I'm like, okay, this is a glitch, right? This is something that got mispriced, obviously, thrown up for just a second, and it's going to get taken down. I was able to max this play out, and I would have loved to put more money on it, but Hard Rock capped me at, I think, like 5 units, which was still a lot. Here, I'll pull it up. It has yet to be refunded, okay? This prop has yet to be refunded, and I don't believe that they've since given me a cash out option. This prop pulled up as minus 200 or better in terms of like minus 225, minus 250 on every other sports book, including Pinnacle, DraftKings, FanDuel, I think maybe Caesars possibly, for Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown. I got Josh Jacobs anytime touchdown on Hard Rock at plus 185. So I maxed it out, and we're riding with Josh Jacobs to score tonight. I don't know if this is going to be something where Hard Rock is like, hey, we're going to refund it if it hits, and maybe just keep it as a loser if he doesn't score. But I don't think they've given a cash out option. And this is like the most insane value that I've ever come across. So it is yet to be to be refunded, but that's what we're currently rocking with tonight for the game. Gosh, everyone's asking fantasy questions. Give me 2 minutes to try and get one more slip in real quick, and we're going to go over this. So I'm going to take a look at Prize Picks real quick because we do have a couple of slips over there at the moment, but there might be some more value for us to get something in. We do have a slip that we put in yesterday that is currently 3 for 3. It's a 5-pick flex with 2 props for one tonight and then one this weekend. So we're gonna try and get that in. Let's see, is the stream running all right over on Twitter? I think so. It might have buffered for just a second there. We got a little bit of WNBA, it looks like. So let's try and get some stuff in here. All right, we're going to start off with Chelsea Gray over 9.5 points. This is over on Prize Picks, guys. Chelsea Gray over 9.5 points. Then we're going to go over to the Wings game and take Maddie Siegrist over 13.5 points. We're going to go back over to the Aces game to take Asia Wilson over 9.5 rebounds. Then we're going to go over to the NFL. And we're going to take Jalen Hurts over 0.5 on touchdowns. It's crazy for him to be positive EV to just run it in. Wild. And then we're going to go over to DGF to see if we've got anything here. 5-pick flex. I'm going to reload this. And then we're going to take this passing yards combo for Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson under 456.5 passing yards. We're going to run that. That'll be a 5-pick flex, so it'll pay out 10x. I'll go over this one more time for those of you guys over on TikTok, but we are going to be running this. This is going to be, once again, this is Prize Picks, a 5-pick flex that we are running for 10x our money. Getting this posted over in the Dub Club, which again, if you guys want to get access to all of my slips, even the ones that I build when I'm not live here on whatever platform you're watching, you guys can go over to the link in the bio and join the Dub Club. That's where I post all my picks. You can join the Discord, which is free to join. However, you want access to all the picks, get in the Dub Club. So real quick, that 5-pick flex that we just put in, we have Chelsea Gray over 9.5 points. We have Maddie Siegrist over 13.5 points. Asia Wilson over 9.5 rebounds. Jalen Hurts over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. And then Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson combo prop under 456.5 passing yards. All right, that'll pay out 10x our money. Let's hit the comment section over on TikTok to see what you guys have here. Let's see. Hawkinson or Kraft? I think somebody else asked that question. I'm really not sure, honestly. That's tough. I actually want to see who's projected more in that game, or on those two games. Egbuka, James Conner, Breece Hall, McConkey, Flowers, Amon-Ra. My goodness, start 2. I would probably start Amon-Ra and gosh, dude. Maybe James Conner. I don't know. I feel like I've only heard good things about Emeka. I feel like he got the ball a lot. Gosh, that's a tough. Now, why do you have that many players and then ask me to start 2 of them? That's crazy. Pearsall or Drake London? I probably choose Drake London. Just so many unknowns with Mac Jones now being over there in San Francisco. What else you guys got? Justin Fields and Chase Brown, or Hurts and Kamara. This is for the whole season, not just this week. I'd probably stick with Hurts and Kamara. Ertz or Ingram? I'd probably go Ingram. Gosh, y'all are freaking flooding the comments here. Do I think Bill Krosky going to do good today? I don't know. I think earlier I said that I feel like they're trying to. I feel like both teams are going to try and run today, like to start off the game. But I don't know if that'll be successful, and therefore I think there's going to be a lot of passing involved. At least that's what I believe the sports books think as well. Debo or Devontae Smith? I'd probably go with Debo. I get Tet, DK, McLaurin, Pearsall, and AJ Brown. I need 3. And who do you think I should trade? To be honest with you, I was not very impressed with the Eagles getting the ball around week 1. I don't know if that'll be something that continues the rest of the season. I also think it's really hard to judge how a player is going to perform the rest of the season just off of week 1. So I wouldn't trade anybody yet. I do think DK looked great. I think Tet McMillan looked amazing. Tet was somebody who I actually personally wanted to try and trade for this week. But again, sticking to what I just said, I don't think that like trading is necessarily the right option through like the first 3 weeks. Because you could have a guy like Kayshon Boutte, I think that's how you pronounce his name, for the Patriots, absolutely popped off. I think he had over 100 yards. Who knows if that's how he performs on a weekly basis, or if that was just something that was like, wow, week 1. You know, we've seen that before. I'm trying to think of the other examples that I want to say, like, who is it that I saw? I think like John Ross, you know, like the dude who ran the fastest 40-yard dash. I'm pretty sure like week 1, he had like a great outing and then just like fell off a cliff. And like, that's inevitably going to happen with some of those people who perform so well week 1. And it's like, I don't want to say ignorant, but like it'd be stupid really to just like go ahead and pre-fire trades when that guy might not hold up that kind of performance the rest of the season. Let's see. Keenan Allen versus McLaurin versus DJ Moore. Ooh. That's tough. That's a tough one. I thought Keenan Allen looked pretty decent week 1. I think DJ Moore is honestly the best option there. Like, to me, I know the Bears lost that game, but watching that game, I feel like Caleb Williams' pocket movement was so impressive and so much better than what he was last season. And he was able to escape those sacks and get the ball out. I know Rome Odunze did pretty well week 1 with getting the ball, put up good numbers. Thought DJ Moore looked really well. Out of those 3, I'd probably choose DJ Moore. I don't think Terry McLaurin would be a bad look. Keenan Allen would probably be the last person I would choose out of those 3, though. Start 2, Kyron, Chuba, or Connor. Honestly, probably in that order for me. Connor might. Let's see, who are they facing this week? Panthers and Cardinals. They're facing each other. Ooh, okay. I'll definitely start Kyron. I'd probably lean. Ooh, I might lean Connor actually over Chuba this week. Start 3: Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Crosby, Merritt, or Amari Hampton. I would start Brown, Hampton, and Breece Hall. Personal opinion. Wow, this whole stream has turned from a DFS, Prize Picks and Underdog to straight fantasy football talk. Travis Hunter or Debo? I would say Debo. I think that the Jags are trying to utilize Travis more on defense this week, is what I heard. Still, I don't think he's like solidified himself as like a great wide receiver. Obviously, you have Brian Thomas Jr. there. Another like, this is me saying this as a Jags fan, but like, to me, Brenton Strange looked so good and like should easily be a top 10 tight end by the end of the season. My opinion. But like, he could be the standout like number 2 guy in that offense if, there's obviously Brian Thomas Jr. And I know Travis had like a couple good catches. I'm so torn on like what they're planning to do. Having a guy that goes both ways on offense and defense. So it'll be tough to see. I personally have Travis Hunter in one of my leagues. I've played him. I played him last week. I'll play him again this week. The potential is there, but it's not like I fully trust him over some of these other guys. Packers or Rams defense? I would probably choose the Rams defense. I think tonight will be somewhat high scoring. Cam Ward, young guy. I thought he made great throws. I just don't really trust that Titans team to be putting up a whole bunch of points. I'd probably take the Rams D. Ridley or Keenan Allen? I'd take Ridley for sure. What were Ridley's week 1 stats? Because unless the like footage that I saw was like cherry picked. Okay, so that's what it was. He only put up 4 receptions for 27 yards. If that's all you look at, then you probably shouldn't be making important decisions for fantasy football. 8 targets is a lot for a receiver. I thought that I saw Cam Ward trying to get him the ball a lot. In fact, I want to say he was one of the drops, if not 2 of the drops that I saw, which again, yes, you can take that into accountability and all that stuff. But Cam Ward's going to try to get the ball to his best receiver, which I feel like he did that week 1. The drops cost them the game. Simple as that. Steelers or Rams defense? Who are the Steelers playing? Let's see. Seahawks. Yeah, I would still go with the Rams defense. Ridley or Pittman for flex? I'd go with Ridley. Ridley or Olave? I would probably go with Ridley. Metcalf or Debo? That's tough. I'm pretty sure I would still go with Debo. I think he performs well. McLaurin or Hollywood Brown? Ooh, interesting. Probably would go with Terry. JD5 or Fields? I'd probably go with Jaden Daniels. I don't think Justin Fields looked bad, but I feel like we're still talking about night and day. All right, let's try to refresh this. I'm gonna look at some straight plays as well. So we've got this running. Let's check out the prop professor. Start 1: Hollywood Brown, Emeka, or Tet. Oh, gosh, dude. My mind is telling me like Hollywood, but at the same time, I'm after that week 1 performance from Tet and just like how he looked on the field, how comfortable he looked, he skyrocketed in my wide receiver rankings. I just feel like he's got so much potential, and that was only week 1. It's like, again, back to what I was saying, it's so hard to kind of like judge off of just week 1. But man, if he performs like that the rest of the season, that is a good player, and like somebody who like you could say is like a steal. And you know, when you look back at like where he went, like average draft position, I think he could be really, really good. Let's take a look at this right here. Green Bay Packers. David Peterson, over 2.5 earned runs. It's not bad. I'm not sold on it though. Refresh this. We got some more plays over on Prize Picks, possibly if we can get this full slip filled out. We're going to start off with pass attempts for Trevor Lawrence. We're going to take the under 34.5. Am I blind? Where is pass attempts at? I wish they put it right next to rush attempts. I literally can't see it. This is ridiculous. Okay, pass attempts. There we go. Pass attempts for Trevor Lawrence, under 34.5. Then we are going to go to rushing and receiving touchdowns, and we're going to take James Cook, over 0.5. I don't know why I do this. I should stop scrolling and just search his name. James Cook, over 0.5, rushing and receiving touchdowns. We have a CS2 prop that I'm going to go ahead and throw in here as well. Let's go to CS2. It is Wolfie, WOLFFE, over 26 maps, 1 and 2 kills. We're going to go back over to the NFL, and we're going to search up Rashid Shaheed, under 44.5 receiving yards. And then finally, tonight, Kansas City Royals, we have Stephen Kolek, over 3.5 pitcher strikeouts. That is going to wrap up this slip. Once again, it's going to be a 5-pick flex. I'll go over that one more time for those of you over on TikTok. If you're watching elsewhere, you can see the screen. You can see what I'm locking in here. Green Bay minus 2.5 first half. Very tough. I don't really like playing first half props like that for the the game. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that I have no comment on that. I do think the Packers pull out a win today. Once again, I do think it'll be high scoring. I think that the sports books are spot on with the line for tonight's game. I think it's still somewhere around 3 points. I think it'll be high scoring, but I think it'll be close. My prediction, if you will, is that the Packers will win, but the Commanders cover. Okay, so one more time, that Prize Picks 10x slip that we just got in, that 5-pick flex. Starting off with Trevor Lawrence under 34.5 passing attempts. Then we have James Cook over 0.5 rushing and receiving touchdowns. We have Rashid, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Saints receiver, Shaheed, under 44.5 receiving yards. And then Stephen Kolek over 3.5 pitcher strikeouts for tonight. And then we also have that CS2 prop, Wolfie, over 26 kills. Start Debo or Keon? I'd definitely start Debo. I thought Keon Coleman looked so good, and it was so refreshing seeing Josh Allen get him the ball. Like, I am a Gators fan. Watching him at FSU was like, wow, like this guy can play ball. And last year, seeing him out on the field, just not really that productive, was, I don't want to say frustrating, because like I wasn't somebody who's like necessarily rooting for him, but it was like, y'all have to get this guy the ball. Like, this is a good player. And to see him pop off like he did in that week 1 game was very refreshing. I do think Keon Coleman will be a great receiver this year. I personally have him on my team at flex position. I had him last week. I'm starting him again this week. And yeah, but I will say I think Debo does outperform him this week. All right, we're going to take a look at this. We'll go here. And then we're going to go 3-pick non-insured. All right. What do we have here? All right, we're going to put this in over on Underdog. We're going to start off with Justin Fields under on fantasy score at 18.85, and they've removed it. So we're going to go to the next prop. Bo Nix under 21.5 completions. Then we're going to have Deshaun Bishop, who I think I've already played, over 10.5 for rushing attempts. And then we're going to need to find another one. I think we could take Cam Schlittler, under 31.5 fantasy points. Let's see if this will go through. Nope, I already played Deshaun Bishop. Okay, so I was right. So I have to take Deshaun Bishop out of my slip on Underdog. Adams or Odunze? Are we talking about Devontae Adams? So 3-pick insured, and we're not going to be able to play it. Okay, so let's go to 6-pick insured. We've played all of these. We played all of those. I don't know how many more slips we're going to be able to get in. A whole lot of value, but we may have to be getting these in after stream. I didn't plan to be streaming too long today. I'm pretty sure we got baseball starting right now. Some new games, or just, let's see, Nationals game started. Okay. Devontae Adams or Odunze. I'd probably start Devontae. Probably would start Devontae. Do I think Love is going under tonight? On what? Do I think Love goes under on what? That is the question. Passing, as in passing yards? Ooh, hold up. All right, let's get this in over on Player Profit. If you guys do not know what Player Profit is, it is essentially a platform that allows people like you and me to pass certain challenges to prove that we are profitable sports pickers, we'll say. And they can fund you up to $100,000. I have several accounts with them because I believe in their system. I believe in their business model, and it's made me a lot of money. I can show this as proof for those of you guys see this. This is, oh, will we see it on TikTok? I don't know. There it is. Boom. It says officially certified payout of $20,000, $20,645 paid in full to me. This is just one of the payouts that I've received. I'm going to be getting another one here in a few days, which I will post about. If you guys want to go sign up, it's playerprofit.com. It is something where you have to pay a small fee to then pass the challenge and then get paid a lot of money. So if you want a discount on that, you can use my code
Trident, TRIDENT. I know I've mentioned that a lot this stream. That is my code everywhere. All it is not only helping you out with a discount or a deposit bonus wherever you're signing up, but I get a little bit of it, so it helps support me, support you, all that good stuff. So anyways, we're going to get this in. This is a 6.3% positive EV play over on Outlier. This is for the Angels and Mariners game tonight. Bryce Miller over 5.5 strikeouts at -111. And of course, the line has moved because I'm yapping. Gosh. All right. Well, we missed it. That's unfortunate. We're going to keep staying on this page here, though, and see. Because sometimes there's a little bit of delay in the API, which allows us to get in some good value here. So we're gonna chill on this for a second and see if anything changes. Is Jaden Daniels going to go off? I don't know. My projection, like I've said multiple times this stream, that's not a shot at you at all. I'm just saying, from me watching these teams in week 1 and how their offenses operate, I feel like both sides of the ball are going to try to run early and then resort to passing, because I don't think that either of these teams are going to be able to run the ball well. If one side or the other is able to run the ball well, they will most likely be the team that wins this game. However, again, I think they both resort to passing. I think it'll be a relatively high-scoring game. I believe it'll be relatively close. So take that as you will. Marvin Harrison or DK Metcalf. It's very hard for me to say that DK Metcalf is not the answer there. He looked really good in week 1. Rodgers got on the ball, and he looked impressive. You know, we all know how insane DK Metcalf's physique is, and how well he is at playing football. I think when you got a guy who is a Hall of Fame quarterback getting him the ball, things can only be positive, right? I think at a bare minimum, the targets will be there for him. We'll just have to see if he hauls them in. Huge plus if he can get in the end zone. Tucker Kraft or Hunter Henry this week. Hunter Henry was another tight end that looked really good week 1. I didn't really expect for him to be so heavy of a target. It's hard for me not to say, take Hunter Henry against the Dolphins, who allowed the Colts to just stomp all over them. That's tough because my initial instinct is okay, I think Kraft does well tonight. Definitely a candidate to get in the end zone. I might have to start Henry there. I might have to start Hunter Henry in that position. Trying to keep up with the chat. We got a whole bunch of fantasy questions over on TikTok. For those of you guys who are watching over on YouTube or on Twitter or on Twitch. Lots of value. I'm really looking for those, just the big plays, the ones that you really got to get it in. Let's see. We're going to go back over to the DFS side of things. I'm going to pull this back over. I'm going to go back over to the optimizer here. All right, start 2. DK, Debo, Pickens, Hampton. Pickens is someone who I'm not touching right now. Could have just been a week 1 thing. Amari Hampton, I think, has a super high ceiling. I would definitely start him. But to be honest with you, DK and Debo don't seem like a bad look over Hampton if it's a PPR league. I'd probably start Debo, then Hampton, then DK if it were not PPR, though. Probably even half PPR. Coleman and Merritt for a Mecca. Probably whoever got Keon Coleman, I would think. Keon Coleman's a guy who, based off of week 1, I think is going to get the ball a lot for the entirety of the season. I don't Emeka's a great guy. I've only heard good things about him out of Tampa, whether it be the stuff that Baker Mayfield has said. I'm pretty sure Bruce Arians, obviously not the coach there anymore, but I'm pretty sure Bruce Arians has said some things about how well developed he is coming into this season. However, whenever Chris Godwin comes back, I do think that's a big takeaway from his production. I do think they still get him the ball. But obviously still having a guy like Chris Godwin come in there and most likely just take over that wide receiver 2 spot where he rightfully, has earned that position. It may not be as good of a trade that back half of the season, I would think. Those are my thoughts there. Do you guys think that I should start having streams maybe earlier in the day or even just like at this time, strictly focused on fantasy football? Because I get a lot of questions right now about fantasy football. And it may be a little bit easier for me to just fully devote time for that rather than having kind of like this off and on talk about DFS apps and those type of plays making money. And then, we're going into fantasy football talk. Would you guys rather have that? Like like tomorrow, right? Like a hour stream or whatever, just fantasy football Friday. Is that something y'all want? Because I can definitely make that happen. Let me know. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see. I wouldn't mind doing that at all. This dude is spamming. Chuba, Gibbs, Sutton, Taylor, or Javonte? Who's Javonte? Devontae? I'd probably start Chuba. I'd probably start... I'm assuming that's Jonathan Taylor. Probably start Jonathan Taylor. I don't know. I'm really shaky on the Eagles receivers. Kind of similar to how I view the wide receiver core for the Texans. It's just like I've had people tell me that it's like, oh, it's a stupid argument to say that like a team has too many weapons. Like, yeah, I can see that. Like, I get that. But when you have an offense that quite literally can just spread the ball out anywhere, to me it decreases the value of like their fantasy value, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Like, I had this conversation the other day, and again, I'm not here to debate anyone else's, thoughts on specific people for fantasy football. We all have our own opinions on that. But for me personally, like during this whole, the draft process for fantasy football, I personally stayed away from one of the more highly regarded wide receivers in Nico Collins. I don't like the situation. It's good for CJ Stroud. He's got a lot of weapons, a lot of receivers who he can spread the ball out to. But I still I know Nico had a great season last year. I find it very hard to think about Nico Collins as like a top 3, top 5 receiver. And again, that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, we'll see how everything pans out at the end of the year, or at the end of the season. I don't know. We'll see. This is a pretty solid play here. Jordan Love over 20.5 passing completions. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm going to see if I can get that in real quick. Packers, player props, pass completions, and they've moved it. Do we have alternate pass completions? No, we don't. That's unfortunate. Do I think Golden's going to get 2.5 receptions? I don't know. Like, I hate this. How did he perform week 1? Because I don't remember seeing much about Matthew Golden. Let's see. Versus the Lions. Yeah, I mean, dude's putting up the same numbers as Dontavian Wicks, who's known to get 1 to 2 receptions a game. I think, for me, Josh Jacobs is going to be good tonight. I think that they probably try and work him into... I don't want to say work him into the passing game. I think he catches 2 to 3 receptions tonight. I think Jaden Reed overperforms his line tonight. I think Tucker Kraft overperforms his line tonight. It's just hard for me to feel confident about these wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 guys when you have like a tight end who can really overperform. I don't know. That's tough. Bo Nix or Jordan Love? I'm gonna say Jordan Love. I'm pretty high on Jordan Love this year. I thought he was a great quarterback last year. I like the way he plays. I like his play style. And to be honest with you, the Colts was a team that I had pretty much right where I had the Saints, right where I had the Giants, and the Dolphins organization. I don't know if things are just falling apart over there. I don't know if Tua is still concussed, or if the Colts are just look that good. Partially, very surprised at how. I don't think it was a fluke either. Like, the Colts could still go and only win 5 to 6 games, if that. But the way that I was watching that game and Daniel Jones actually looked good, that was not just like coincidentally like on the defense. Like, watching that game, if you know ball, if you watch that game, it was not just like blown coverages or like the defense just looked horrible. Like, the Dolphins still looked like an NFL caliber defense. Daniel Jones just looked that good. And I think the Colts have more weapons on defense than a lot of people think. I don't know. That team just looked really good. And it does worry me because I have a futures play on the under for their team total wins. But also, as a Jags fan, they're in the division. That's going to be a tough game, and we play them twice. So, I don't know. I think the original question was just asking Bo Nix or Jordan Love. I'd probably still stick with Jordan Love. But yeah, I'm very surprised of how that Colts team looked. Would I trade JCM and Tillman for Tet? I don't really think that highly of Cedric Tillman. I know he got 4 catches. I would probably trade that for Tet. I think Tet is I don't want to say underrated, just based off of that Week 1 performance, but like, he looked really good. If Bryce Young can get the ball anywhere near him, he's gonna start bringing those balls in. We're just now approaching 7, so it'll be just about an hour since I've gone live. I'm definitely down to run some sort of stream tomorrow if you guys want, for fantasy football specifically, and we can talk a little bit more about heading into this weekend, this week 2. I'll make a post about it regarding what time. Wherever you guys are watching right now, if that's something that you want to see, let me know in the chat, and also just drop a follow if you have not already. I appreciate every single one of you guys for being here. Let's have a good Thursday night football. All right, let's try and get our minds off of the horrible things and reminders that we have in this country of all the evil that goes on. Let's try to focus on some Thursday night football, hit some plays, and make some money. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on stream. I appreciate you guys all for being here. If you do have any fantasy football questions or DFS questions, whatever it is, again, join the Discord through the link in bio. It's free to join. I'm actually, as soon as we hop off this, I'm going to go make a channel specifically for fantasy football talk so we can talk about all this stuff. But yeah, make sure you guys go do that. Drop a follow wherever you're watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.